Hello, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords. This week we are covering episode 7, 8, and 9 of Andor Season 2. Uh, Pretty intense episodes. But first, Eric, what's new?
Not too much. I have a tournament going for my Star Wars game that I play, Star Wars Unlimited, tomorrow. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, besides having to choose a deck that I want to play with, that's about the only stress that I have. We're a very good casual group, and we all know each other. So sometimes it could be outsiders that'll come and play at our store, but it's very unlikely. So it should be a fun day for me tomorrow. But that's about it on my end. So,
Ah, that's cool.
and you?
For me, last week I told you guys that I was going to do my first hospital visit with the 501st Legion. So this happened on Monday. And as you told me, Eric, it's pretty intense. It's not always easy
Yeah,
to go through. Some kids are in better shape than others, but
yeah,
yeah. And there was like 3 runs. We were split in three
yeah,
teams,
yeah.
and I was in the most intense run with the kids having cancer and chemo and
Mm.
hair loss and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's
it was pretty tough, and some kids didn't even stood from their bed, and we were there for the parents
yeah,
because the kids were sleeping and stuff like that. But the parents wanted to see us, so
yeah. It's difficult, but it seems to go a long way with them, and I've always said that, like, sometimes whether you go to an event, whether it be a Comic Con or anything that you do, a lot of the times it's the parents' eyes that light up just as much
the
as the
kids, right?
kids. So,
Hmm.
and everyone can use a pick me up. I mean, and so,
But just to see the smiles I got to see from the kids
yeah.
and the parents, that's my payday. I mean,
Yeah, for sure. It's
and
quite the experience, and it makes you feel good, puts things into context a little bit.
and you
For
know that
for
little image of me in the TIE fighter next to my name?
Yeah,
I had some stickers printed with that,
nice.
so I was able to distribute like 50 of them
Yeah,
throughout my visit. So
yeah, that's good.
it was pretty cool. And the kids were some kids were more happy about the sticker than the rest, and that
Yeah,
was
that's all
funny.
it is. Sometimes, hey, sticker, a card, or whatever, and then but
They told me
it's
they
good.
would put it on the back of their cell phone case and stuff like that. So yeah,
Nice.
pretty cool.
It's
So
good, good.
I'm
So
glad I
yeah,
got to experience that for sure.
so the episodes we've been waiting for.
Hmm.
I mean that we obviously have seen, but the
It,
one
it
that
was it was intense when we saw it like what 6 weeks ago,
yeah.
and it was still intense this week as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, definitely, and it was you know, so the buildup that we've been talking about the last few weeks, saying like it's coming, and it's all come together in some of these episodes, and next week with the conclusion of the final 3 episodes, tying you right up into the um Rogue One. So it's so let's start with the first episode. And episode 7, I think, to me was the last one that was again a little bit more slower than the other episodes, but it was really
Hmm.
the build up, which was 1 year later
Yeah.
than where we left off, but the build up to um, of what we were going to experience with the whole Ghorman
Hmm.
event. We see things like the rebellion now seems to be building up to more of the caliber of what we've seen, or what we see in Rogue One,
Yeah.
and also the original trilogy, where Bix and Cassian are living there, on Yavin, and then we finally see, I guess, kind of what happened to Willman, I guess, after where we
Yeah.
left off, that he comes back, and as you were talking earlier, like he seems to be hesitant on saying about where he's been.
Yeah. He's pretty secretive about his
Yeah,
whereabouts. Has he been with Sagamera that whole year? We don't know.
yeah,
But I think what Endor asked him like what 3 times, and
yeah,
he never gets an answer.
yeah,
So
yes. Meanwhile, I mean, we also see that the ISB is prepping for the big event that or I guess the actual takeover
Yeah.
of Ghorman to take over the resources that they've been after.
So
But
the plaza has been shut
yeah,
down for a while, and they reopened it, and
trying to put
the
barricades
governments,
and
just like they start to put barricades in strategic places, I guess. So,
yeah.
and they receive a little regiment of green soldiers, unexperienced soldiers, who are going to come handy later on as we discuss it. But yeah,
But what did
it
you
was
think of our new character in this? Is this Captain Kato?
Captain Kato. Oh gosh,
Kaido, yeah.
yeah. He's a true Imperial. Let's just say
With the
it like
scar
that.
on his
Because
eye and everything, like he's got
yeah,
that look, right? And Deja is made aware that
he says, "What? I'm the trigger.
yeah, but that
No,
was yeah. He
and
says
you're the
that in the
trigger."
yeah, but like I think she was also told that she's kind of like she's still the leader, but it's his plan, basically. Like
Yes, the methods used are his.
yeah. So it's like maybe there was doubt in her execution based on what had happened previously, where Cassian slipped between her fingers or what. But the other thing that we had spoken about, I think in one of the previous reviews that we said, is like where I said it's funny how we see all this kind of like press and TV stuff that we had never really seen before, and now we see it in full force where
it's like true war reporters we see like on CNN and other media, with the cam droid floating in front of them, just like we saw in the prequels.
But obviously under like a strong ISB influence, where they're trying to
biased all the way.
Trying to dictate the narrative of like the fact that they keep reporting that there's been another terrorist attack within like an uprising, all this kind of stuff going on. Trying to make it sound like there's something that needs to be controlled, setting up the justification of.
They don't even leave the benefit of the doubt for the Ghorman. I mean, they're the baddies, and the Imperial are there to maintain law and order, and they want to cause havoc and riots. And
So I mean, all I have to say is that this episode was the final setup of the final chess pieces getting into place for what we knew was coming, and which was what you referred to last time as the second massacre that was probably, or genocide, whatever you want to call it, and we ended up that episode with Cassian and Woolman heading back to Ghorman. And then the next episode is episode 8, which is the one that really blew me away, because I remember watching these, I'm like, okay, like how much setup are you gonna have? And it goes back to what I've said numerous times. I'm like, just think Christopher Nolan, the long setup for what is going to be truly, like, it really has a lot of an impact of what's
the reward.
So so the ISB,
women use the bait, Dedra as a bait to attract Cassian to Ghorman, because he seems pretty done with Luton when he sees him on Yavin 4. So, but the Dedra bait, I mean, that's big, because she caused all the troubles on Ferrix. She tortured
Bix.
her love, Bix. Yeah. And now he has the opportunity to get his own revenge. So that's the little bait that, so okay, I'll go. But things don't go necessarily as they were hoping for once they arrive there.
So obviously, I mean, we have the whole setup, like where the plan is starting, and as we said again, we were talking earlier, it's like there's just so much action, you can't really break down too much into what's going on. Like, as soon as you have an action scene, there's just so much going on. There's a lot of emotion and drama, and it's a lot of tense moments. And starts off with when Cyril, who seems to be finding sympathy for the Ghormans, the people he's been around for the last year or so. He's trying to like realize, wait a minute, he's putting the pieces together. What's going on here? Like, I think that they're not doing really what they're accusing them of doing. And then he confronts Deidre.
He realizes that not only the Ghormans have been used, but he has
Yeah,
been used as
exactly.
well
Yeah,
by his own girlfriend.
yeah,
So yeah, that's when he starts to put to put one and one together, and well, something is odd, something is not going right,
yeah,
and that's why, as you said, he confronts Dedra, trying
yeah. Puts
to
hands
get
on her and
answers, but
everything. Yeah, and she comes clean and says, finally, like, this was all about the resources. And as much as she was trying to, like,
yeah, the
even
Caltex, yeah.
earlier trying to tell him, like, the soon we'll be able to, she tells him to get out of here and meet her back on, I think it was on Coruscant. They'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
be together and all this stuff, which is kind of weird. I mean,
And celebrate their promotions
yeah,
and
he
stuff
was
like
like, well,
that. So,
what have we been doing? He's like, what the hell have we been doing? Like, he's not even just, what are we going to be celebrating? So
mm-hmm.
when he realizes everything that's happened, he gets angry because, again, he's been the pawn. He hasn't really been in control as much as he would have wanted to, I guess. And the manipulation, I guess, from his mom from his previous life. Now he's realizing, is this person just another person manipulating me, right? Like,
Yeah,
so, um, and that's when the events start taking place and the actual, like, the massacre starts, and like you said, the way that they started the whole thing was pretty
well,
interesting.
remember in episode 7 when Cyril starts asking like too many questions, she shuts him up by kissing him.
Yeah, well, that's it. So
Yeah, that's it. Like, no, let's not have this discussion now. We'll talk about it
yeah,
later. Maybe way back home on Coruscant. But
yeah,
yeah, she's using
just
all the
trying
wrong
all their
methods
tricks.
to
Yeah, so
yeah.
but so I mean, when it all starts going down, and Cyril is like, you can see he almost wants to. He actually approaches the Ghorman front and tells him, like, listen, you don't do this, and like, trying to actually save them from like sure death, right? Like, it's
Yeah, and the Roman front is starting to fight with each other.
yeah,
And they say at some point, it doesn't matter if uh, we spread like flowers on the plaza or if we go with weapons, our fate is going to be the same. So
and they
they,
march towards the plaza, and almost like, kind of like, if as the press had set that narrative, like, makes them look like, look, now they're really starting to come and attack their
yeah,
ISB heroes, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
so it was
And I really like the confrontation between Rylands and Cyril when they're stuck between the doorway and they talk to each other. And Rylands is like, "Don't tell me you never knew what was gonna happen," and he genuinely
yeah,
didn't
I know.
know what was
Yeah.
gonna happen, and he must feel so stupid for not knowing, and so played.
Hmm.
And great acting by the guy who portrays Rylands. I mean, he really seemed distressed and you know destroyed by the whole situation.
Yeah.
I really like the acting of this actor for the whole arc.
But when it all went down, it was like, it's, they ended up shooting or sniping, I guess, their own, um, or killing one of their own to try to generate the chaos
Yeah,
of the
that's it.
Ghorman.
So
Yeah.
hence the newbies, the new soldiers that were welcomed in episode 7. They
Yeah.
used those unexperienced troopers, knowing that they will overreact at the smallest of things.
Yeah.
And our new friend, Captain Kaido, gives the order to a sniper who's way up there, and he shoots one of his own just to create like a panic movement. And the sergeant who's with the new guys, he overreacts as well, and he says, "Fire at will," and then we all know what happens after that. But yeah, it was it's a pretty
Well,
diabolic strategy
the whole
to
scene
kill.
is like, I mean, there's no way to even describe. This was really the peak kind of Andor.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I've seen is that it's been recognized as one of the highest rated, or one of the Star Wars episode
Episodes of all time, man,
yeah.
right?
So it's like, but like,
Yeah,
the tense moments, like Cyril running out and just looking around at all the chaos that's going down. You have Cassian that was trying to, like, snipe Dedra like
Mm-hmm.
trying to get rid of her, and
Or three times, yeah.
then there's like close encounters, like close calls of them actually kind of seeing each other,
Yeah.
and then we finally get that moment where, despite the empathy and that Cyril has, and like he wants to try to like maybe rectify, or like but he realizes it's too late. But in all that sympathy they might even have for the people, and saying, "Geez, like am I really on the wrong side of things or whatever?" When he sees Cassian, it's like poof, like so something reignites in him that
Yeah, it snaps. Yeah.
that it's like it's all due to that investigation
Yeah,
of those
because
two. Yeah,
if Cassian doesn't shoot the Preox officer way back in episode 1, season
it
1,
doesn't spiral Cyril into this
yeah, but
situation, right? So
it it changed Sybil's the course of Sybil's life from that moment, and he became obsessed with Cassian ever since.
yeah,
He wanted to find him and arrest him and bring him to justice and do what was right for according to his philosophy.
yeah.
And his whole life has become like a chaos since then. And when he finally sees him, yeah, he jumps on him, and
So that fight
great
was,
fighting choreography.
yeah, it was really good. And then that ending where like when it all comes down to it, and Cyril is like has got him like a gunpoint, and like that's it.
Yeah, Cassian
It's like,
is almost a dead man.
yeah, and Cassian says, who are you?
Whoosh, yeah.
So in all this time that Cyril was trying to be somebody and have an identity, and to have his arch enemy, I guess, not even know who he is. There's that moment of hesitation where he's just like, and then boom, that's
Well, we see that Cassian has moved on Ferrix,
yeah,
but Cyril is probably still on Ferrix.
yeah.
Working for Preox Organa. So yeah.
I was disappointed to see him, get taken out, but I mean, I guess it's inevitable that.
But when I saw who took him out, I was like, okay,
yeah,
it was violence, and he did so many bad stuff to the Ghormans that it kind of it fitted in the end.
yeah, and so I mean, that whole scene good on. And then we during that chaos, what we did saw, one of my favorite parts was when the Imperial droids came out.
Oh yeah,
and they kind of really showed them how strong they were.
Gosh.
By just like kicking the barriers that you had mentioned, like you see them earlier where you said they were being brought on I guess like buggies or lifts of some sort to like to emphasize just how heavy these things are, and they just come out and punt them around at people. Like it was so
and
impressive.
It moves like 30
them.
feet away from where it was.
And it was just so cool to see that whole scene.
And when they began throwing the people, in the crowd, I mean, whoa, that was impressive, but scary at the same time. I mean,
so I mean, we've seen his power in Rogue One, and we've seen him a little bit in the first season of Andor.
Yeah.
But this was like to actually see him like deployed in a battle was actually pretty interesting.
The only time maybe we've seen them like being so tough to beat was in the Jedi Survivor video games.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Jeez, getting anxiety just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But so I mean, and so I think at this point we have Andor trying to escape with and then Woman actually stayed behind, right? If I remember it.
He stays behind
to go find the girl.
His girlfriend. So
he's got a lot of girlfriends.
Yeah, he's a ladies' man. He has that farm lady on Mina Rao. Yeah. Now he has that cute blonde lady on Ghorman.
So, but that message that I mean, he had one of the droids stalking him, which ultimately they defeat, and he actually puts on board on the ship, and as he's leaving, the message that is being dispatched on the airwaves from the Ghorman people, begging for help and if to at least push the story, like let people know what really happened here. Can anyone help? And all Andor can do is know that he basically know that he can't do anything right now, right? So he does have to try to push the message and or try to pass on what happened there. And we have that moment where I don't remember. Did Deja find out that? So, because I mean, I remember when Cyril ran out, she was concerned, genuinely concerned, and didn't want him to.
Yeah, she wanted to bring him back inside the Imperial building.
Yeah.
But he was already out, so they couldn't find him. And no, we at the end of the episode, she doesn't know that he is actually dead.
Because she does have that moment that we saw, where
like a panic attack.
Yeah,
right?
Like just overwhelmed with emotion of maybe realizing she kind of got played in this, and did she have her priorities? And like, who knows what could have been going through her head? And there was that part where she couldn't even breathe and choking. Well, she thought it looked like she was choking, which was a couple of people that thought maybe we'd see
Vader would be force choking her.
Yeah, because we started doing that in the trailers, right, that we saw originally.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, just completely overwhelmed with emotion, and it's the first time we see her, I guess, kind of. I don't know if it's the first time, but I think it's the most notable time that we see her overwhelmed with that kind of emotion.
Yeah, vulnerable.
Like, yeah,
right?
Exactly. Perfect word for that. And
because she's always in control, always composed.
Yeah.
And then we see her at the very end after her panic attack. She places her uniform. She's
trying to get back
more
into
stiff again. Yeah, Imperial mode, I guess.
So it just So and that episode ended up with yet again the press twisting the truth as to what happened and kind of like calling the ISB heroes and they're for what they did and what they were able to the heroes are coming back home. All this stuff is just crazy.
Yeah, all the martyrs of Ghorman, the Ghorman martyrs.
So, but that, I mean, to me overall, this episode was like peak. Andor,
for sure.
So there's still more to come, but it's and for me, like, I think this episode has set the bar pretty high.
I say it's not gonna be as tough to watch, but it's pretty exciting what's coming up.
Yeah. So obviously this was a little.
How could you get tougher than the genocide? I mean, it's impossible to be tougher to watch than that, but yeah,
there's a lot of emotion. There's even the music at the end, like I thought, like really captured the moment. Like the score, everything was so.
How about that Ghorman national anthem they sing before Havoc wrecks up
at their march towards the?
Well, we are the Gore, the galaxy's watching, but then the guy with the beard. He takes off his cap and he begins singing the national anthem.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very poignant. I thought
it's a very very emotional episode, and like I said, with the build up to it and everything, it just kind of like it seems like it was perfectly placed, I think.
I've been humming that song since Tuesday, to be honest, because I watched it on Tuesday night, like on my big screen, and then yesterday I rewatched it another time just to take the notes and prepare for tonight's show. So it was pretty fun just to hear that anthem, well composed and all in an invented language.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about that. So
no, it was. I don't know.
Kudos to Gilroy and his team of writers to.
I think anyone who's seen these episodes is going to tell you that like this is probably as good as it can as it gets in terms of, and anyone who's like and like I've been kind of critical. Not saying that the episodes were bad; they were just slow. And I've seen raving reviews, and like Mickey, our friend from the Pathfinders on Facebook, had already said that this is some of the best Star Wars before these 3 episodes, was saying some of the best Star Wars he's ever seen. And it's like with being kind of cryptic sometimes, that some people would say that, I'd be like, oof, man, you ain't seen nothing yet. Like if this is already, like, if you love this, man, like, and it's unfortunate that we're like, you're saying, well, like a massacre is what's going to make it even better. Like, it's not, you shouldn't be celebrating, but it was just, it was just like packed with that kind of, it's that peak moment, right? Like where that you've been expecting, and despite the content, it's just like everything comes together for this. And
because we've seen so many times the Empire being incompetent, and now we get to see them as purely evil.
Yeah.
And it all starts from the top, which we are about to discuss in
Yeah.
episode
So,
9, I guess, because
well, it's the
Mon
whole
eventually,
aftermath, right? It's
yeah,
like, the
yeah,
Senate's meeting in the aftermath of the whole Ghorman slaughter, massacre, genocide,
hmm
whatever you want to call it. And Mothma, I think, in talking with, I think she was talking with the senator you were saying from,
yeah, that's
Ghorman,
the Oran, yeah,
and
yeah, the Senator of Ghorman, yeah.
also Bale insisting that she wants to address the Senate, and meanwhile you have the ISB saying none of these people are going to be talking. Like, we're not going to let any of these people
Yeah.
talk, right? So,
hmm
and that's where it said Cassian was it was being sent. We find out to save. Well, he says, he says goodbye to Bixen. He's being sent to go and save Mothma.
to help with the extraction, yeah.
Yeah. And she's starting to realize that, like, all of her suspicions are, like, it's really like that it really is a full imperial takeover where now even her offices are being monitored, and they're tapped for recordings.
Bugs everywhere.
She and there was that moment that tense conversation with Luthen where she's doubting now everything that's been like, Luthen is just, everyone's filled with doubt when it comes to Luthen, right? Like, so, but like, even her, and she finds out even that
Hurston, her attaché,
has actually been in on it with Luthen since the wedding.
The wedding, yeah.
And she dismisses him. It's like, you could just see it's a dismissal and panic, because she just doesn't know how to react to the whole situation, right?
I might have reacted the same way if I was in her shoes. I mean, she all of a sudden she cannot trust anyone.
Yeah.
Luthen tells her that Bail Organa's team is corrupted. She learns that her attaché has been kind of reporting on her to Luthen.
Yeah.
And then Luthen says, "Hey, I'm the only guy you can trust." So talk about turn out of events very, very quickly. So, and she sees the Ghorman senator being arrested for practically no reasons.
Well, yeah, I mean, she obviously
just for being Ghorman.
But she's got a lot of pressure because she's practicing her speech to go and address the Senate. She knows that she wants to do, and she knows that that's it. Once she makes her speech, which I guess we can kind of
she can't stay after that, right?
Yeah, because she in her speech, and we'll go right back to this in a second, but ultimately exposing the monster that's been living among them as Emperor Palpatine, and there's no going back on that. But like, well, I'll leave you, especially since you're still in Rebel mode. I don't know where you're at in Rebels now, but it's like there was reference to this, and we've seen this before this speech, right?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I didn't get to catch up in time with season 3, episode 18, which is the actual episode that covers the my escape from Coruscant. In that episode in Rebels, the Ghost team helps Gold Squadron to protect Ma during her escape, and during that escape, she does another speech, the one that Draven tells Cassian when they arrive on the Avid 4, and he said, "Do you want to watch it?" And I've just heard her doing another speech, so it's already motivated. It doesn't need the extra motivation. But on the speech she has on the Ghost, she calls out to all the Rebel cells to unite and officially create the Rebel Alliance. So up to that day, they have been working separately as independent cells, but now it's time to come together and fight together the monster.
Yeah, the common enemy the
Empire led by Palpatine. Yeah.
But that whole in the scene of the escape while she's still on Coruscant was actually pretty intense as well, where she had to kind of like form a new trust now with Cassian, and multiple steps in them leaving there, and like a couple little tense moments there as well. But it was that whole episode for me as well was very intense. Not as action packed, I guess, as but like action packed. Calling a massacre action packed is seems a little bit weird there, but like it was another good episode to come in and wrap. And I guess at the end we ended up finding that obviously Cassian ultimately, and like you said, it's kind of like we knew she was going to survive anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
but the whole process of the escaping was pretty exciting as well. And they try to go one way, but there's too much security. They go another way. They use like
and ultimately her pathway. Aide that she dismisses comes back and saves her as well.
Helps her because we see who was the traitor on Bail Organa's team.
Yeah.
And then as they're almost out of the woods, we see Cloris, the driver we've been seeing since the first season, arriving, and he's an ISB plant. So they need to get rid of him, and Cassian doesn't think twice, and
he goes, boom, what's his name? Because Cloris, we have her, and all of a sudden, bang, just shoots him. Like, jeez.
Yeah. My mom was like, well, what's going on? She's overwhelmed as well with all the turning of the events, but yeah.
And then they ended up back on Yavin, I think, at that point, not shortly after. But
well, they go back to the safe house first.
Yeah, you're right.
And they all meet up with Erskine, Clea is there.
Yeah.
Wilman is there. Drina is there. And they all go separate ways from there.
Yeah.
And so
then back on Yavin, we have Cassian that reunites with Bix, and they go to bed, and when he wakes up, Bix is nowhere to be found, and that was she left a message behind for him, basically saying, because it was Vel, right? Like, so one part I guess we kind of looked over is like
skip.
We'll skip. I mean, like, it's where we're going with Bix, is she leaves a message ultimately saying that her presence, or kind of insinuating that her presence would interfere with what his calling really is.
Yeah, and he's holding him back, right?
Yeah, and it's something that Vel had discussed with her when they had their conversation. Meaning, he is a leader, and it's like that's where I guess Bix realized, like, as long as I'm there, and as long as he feels like he needs to come back to me, he'll never be able to really fully commit to this cause, which is bigger than them, and so.
And she's right.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
He loves her, and he wants to leave the rebellion, and go away and spend a quiet life with Bix.
Well, he keeps saying, right? Like, I think he was telling, was it Rev?
Play at the gallery. It's my final mission,
Yeah, but he had also said before leaving to
Wilman?
No. But yeah, when he left.
To Bix.
No, but before he left with Wilman, I think he told was it Draven or
possible, yeah.
Yeah, he's like the minute that I don't have a choice,
to stay or leave.
Yeah, he goes, that's I'm leaving, and he said that moment's coming soon, right? So but ultimately, like, so in that whole kind of moment, he ends up, obviously he's distressed that she's gone and has left him, and he's emotional and crying and like looking around, looking up, like, and then he's approached saying, hey, we got that Imperial droid to work. And we get that nice little wakes up K2. He's like, because if I've offended you, I apologize. But could you kind of like, could you put that gun down now? The classic, K2SO wit. So, yeah. So it ends on on a lighter note. But so much more to come that we know of. And so much more. 3 episodes, unfortunately, but it's leaving us, on the right path. So
and we get to see an old friend at some point on the Yavin, because Vel, with she looks at guns on the table, and she see the blue and orange Preox Marlana gun that Cassian had during the Aldani heist, and all of a sudden,
Who does
She
this
has
belong
to,
to?
yeah, and we see our friend Melshi
Yeah.
from the Arcana arc of season one saying, "Well, that's fine because when they both escaped, he gave the gun to Melshi on Diamos." So yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty fun to see his face. So
But
uh,
so, I mean, like I said, numerous times, this is what we had been waiting for in terms of
mhm.
like, where all this was going, and the 6 episodes and the couple weeks, which is good because having the 3 episodes per week, you didn't have to wait too long for it.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, obviously we got to watch it all at once, but even I thought it was a little long at times, and I wanted something to get going. I think the pace was a little bit different for Andor
Yeah.
season one, um, but this just reiterated in my mind when you
Mhm.
have people like Deidre and Mothma giving these incredible performances.
Yeah.
That, like, when people talk about like the female presence in Star Wars, that
Hmm.
like it's
Ma stole the show. Genevieve
it's
O'Reilly, a
yeah,
queen.
it's just incredible. And Dedra is like she is to me like the main kind of villain of this whole
Yeah, the perfect villain
series.
for this
Yeah,
situation. Yeah.
and it's like when done properly, and not seem to be forced or anything like that, um then it's a great show, right? Like you don't know, no one's going to say anything bad about it if it's done properly. No one
Yeah.
cares. No one cares if it's a woman or a man. We want great writing. We want
Mhm.
great cinematography. We want scripts that make sense and story arcs that make sense,
Yeah.
while also catering to the fans. And that's, and
Mhm.
like they had said in their interviews, they thought of that. And so yes, there is some, actually there is not much fan service, right, in this
Not
season
much. I
at all.
mean, we get like payoff though. If we've watched Rebels, there's
Hmm.
some little payoffs here and there. If you've watched other Star Wars projects, maybe like Rogue One, but I mean, it's connected to Rogue One, so yeah, it's supposed to relate to Rogue One.
So
Uh,
it's so
and they did
far.
overuse critics so far.
No, and
He's there. We know that he's doing his thing
his
in
moment
the background. Yeah,
is in Rogue One, right? Like
that's it.
that's so, but like it just kind of like proves that, like, whether you need to have some kind of presence or whatever people talk about agendas, or like whether it be
Hmm.
the LGBTQ or the female presence and all this stuff, like that's all in Andor. And
Yeah,
when people were talking about blaming male fans, or the toxic male fans, for not for this for the
I'm not
lack of
hearing male
success.
fans
Well, that's it,
whining about what we saw in Endor.
so exactly, so when they were pointed the finger at for the lack of success of acolytes, all this stuff is present
Hmm.
in Andor as well, but it doesn't seem as, it's not the focal point. It's as it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be about any of these kind of like topics. It should just, if you write the story or the script properly, you take the time to cater to the fans,
Yeah,
the way, like, in a respectful way. You respect the story and all this stuff, then no one's going to say anything bad about it. I've never heard anyone go, "Oh my god, this, Val, and like being a lesbian." Like, "Oh my
mm.
god," like no one's saying anything. No one's saying anything about, "Oh, I hate Deidre." Like, well, if they do, it's because they hate the character, because it's like
Yeah,
you're
because
made to hate her,
she's a
right? But
jerk.
like,
Yeah,
but the performance and Mothma is just like incredible. It's just like, and my god, like the main character of the show is like you know Latino, like,
hmm.
it, there's the diversity that's there and everything, like, so like it just, people just want
And
something that's
you know
well
what?
done.
He has like a pretty strong accent,
Yeah,
but I couldn't care less because it fits the character.
but even,
It
it's not even
Andor
about fitting that.
really the Ferrex accent. I
You
mean,
could have had anyone. You could have had anyone, I guess, play the role. Not anyone, but I'm just saying, like it. All of this, and like you said, you don't care because it's so good, right?
mhm.
And it's not the fact that he's Latino, or the fact that there's a presence of the LGBTQ, or the fact that there's very strong female roles in this, doesn't affect the story. So I guess the way I would say it is like if you replaced any of this stuff, or if you added more of this stuff to Andor, it wouldn't make it any more worse, right? But if you removed it all the stuff that people were complaining about, if you removed all the LGBTQ or the female president, if you remove that from Acolytes, it would still be bad. I don't know if that makes sense, but like remove it all from Acolytes, the show is still bad. Add more to Andor, and it's still good. So like that's why like people just wanted to fit that narrative, but like overall, overall, that's what it comes down to: the writing and respecting the fans, and just making a good show. And this is going to go down as probably one of the best series for Star Wars. And Rogue One is considered to be maybe the top 3 of most Star Wars fans in terms of the films.
Yeah.
Top 3, at minimum top 5.
Top 4. Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, at minimum in their top 5. If not, then if you're starting to rattle off stuff to me like, episode 9 and episode 2, then just we're not even talking the same language, right?
Yeah.
But, I'm just so glad that we have this. And I'm looking forward to rewatching the whole thing with Rogue One.
I'm watching the final 3 episodes next Tuesdays, as most of us will do.
Yeah.
And the day or the next day after that, I'm watching Andor all over again. I've been holding out in my rewatch. I skipped it, just to be sure to watch it after the Andor series. So
you mean Rogue One? You're talking about your rewatch.
Sorry,
you said Andor. You're gonna rewatch Rogue One. You're saying, or
Rogue One? Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
I'm like, I thought you're gonna go back to season 1 and watch it all over.
No, I watched season 1 just before.
Yeah, me too. Not too long before
season 2, and then season 2. I'm watching, between the benches, Star Wars Rebels, because it's happening at the same time of period of time. So yeah, so
with all the hockey that you're watching oh wait, I'm sorry,
no, my team's also gone. But don't get me started.
Let's not diverse. Let's stick to the topic at hand. So
let's do some little self-promotions for a change, because I think we suck at self-promoting ourselves since we began the Andor coverage. So if you like what we're doing, go check out the Spark of the Force YouTube channel and Instagram.
Well, mostly I say the Instagram.
What's your handle?
Yeah, it's at Spark of the Force. YouTube, there's not really much going on there.
Okay.
But like Instagram, if you want to follow what's going on with anything that has to do with Star Wars Unlimited, the TCG, so the game. I'm covering basically all the reveals. A lot of exciting reveals coming out for the new set that's coming out in July. So
great.
I'm constantly. I have a relationship with a lot of the artists now that do the art for the cards. There's so many different ones, so many different styles. And we've played the game. Dom, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a great game. I really enjoyed my experience with you. Yeah.
The next set that's coming out is actually quite interesting. The set that just came out in the last couple of months is mostly based on ships. So you remember there was you can fight on the ground or in space. There was a lot of concentration on ships and having pilots on the ships. And now this set that's coming out is called Legends of the Force.
Ooh.
And what's been the exciting part is what people have been asking for a long time is that there's characters from the Legends that are being involved.
Oh.
So
Mara Jade and stuff like that.
Well, there's Revan that's there.
Okay.
I think Malak.
Malak.
Yeah. So all these characters are being brought into this. Yeah. So there's a new mechanic where you can actually use the Force and all this stuff. And they're covering Rebels, the later episodes. There's a nice, wonderful art with for one of the cards where it's Ezra Bridger with his mask on, with the space whales behind him. So like it's really this is really awesome stuff coming with this new mechanic. So check out, like I said, at Spark of the Force on Instagram, and if you want to follow what's going on there. And
Yeah, for me, I'm like almost everywhere. All the main social media platforms. Every Friday, I release a review on a specific Star Wars related object. This week is going to be a cool Sand Trooper statue that I purchased on eBay, and there's like a whole adventure with that statue. So you might want to check that out. But I've obviously bought some goodies on May the 4th.
yeah.
But the Balin's Cold and Shin Hati lightsaber set, which will be the first lightsabers to line up with the orange color for the blade. I also bought the 501st Legion Clone Trooper helmet. That's pretty cool.
That was a
I also
GameStop
received,
exclusive, or
yeah, that's
but
a GameStop exclusive.
what
It came with a coin.
and what we found out is GameStop in Canada is now going back to EB Games. I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
that. Yeah, so
yeah. It took a while for me to transition from EB Game to GameStop. And now that
yeah,
I'm done, yeah,
so yeah,
I
it
went
was
back to EB Games.
an owner, I think a French Canadian owner, right? I think that ended
Mm-hmm.
up buying it, and he's bringing back EB Games. So
Okay.
saving them as just as they were starting to disappear and whatnot. I mean, it's a difficult world that they live in the age of digital, right? Like whether it be
Yeah.
movies and video games, a lot of people just buying digital copies. You know,
Ordering online as well, the products. So.
but GameStop is so much more than that now, right? It's like
Oh yeah,
basically it's like the Monkey
it's a
Depot.
candy store for
Yeah,
nerds.
exactly. So it's just a lot of people actually rely on it to get some Pokemon and stuff like that as well. So
Yeah. Also got the Armorer helmets from the back series, and I treated myself with the life-size MSE or mouse droid
oh,
that
you
was
did
sold
nice.
at Galaxy's Edge. I cannot wait to have it. Yeah, it was shipped to my friend in California, my friend Ryan. Shout out to him, by the way. And he's gonna have it like maybe he received it today or tomorrow. So
Did you see that carrier droid? It's expensive, but it's like a little droid that you can have carrying your stuff for you.
yeah,
I
the
forget
yellow
company.
and white droid.
Yeah, it's got two
Yeah, with the
wheels.
big wheels. Yeah, I just saw
Yeah,
like a short on that. I need to investigate
I
more
thought of
about.
you when I saw that. I'm like, man, could you imagine like Doom walking around, and then after he's got this little droid behind him, and like I thought it was
Yeah,
pretty interesting. So yeah,
yeah. It kind of looks like a rolling cooler, but it's more
yeah.
than that. So
It'd be amazing if all of a sudden you could just like kind of whistle and it fires off a beer or something like that.
imagine that. Wow, that would be so epic.
And I think it's someone's birthday. I think, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we're recording this on Thursday, May the 8th, and it's our good friend Nico's birthday. So
Happy birthday!
shout out to Nico. Happy birthday. We'll see you in a couple of days. So yeah, it's Nico's birthday. So who knows? Maybe we'll do a post-mortem show with him once we've covered all the arcs of Andor.
I
Who
think,
knows?
yeah, but I think we can probably fit that into. I guess we'll discuss, but like our final episode.
Also,
And yeah, so without saying too much about what's coming, I think there's probably a way to work that in there to summarize everything once and for all. And but one thing we didn't do before we go is what was your rating?
Forget? Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, now the numbers go up for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like at what 8 last week or 7.5.
You're a little bit, yeah.
So,
You're at 8. Yeah. I think.
Okay, 8. So yeah, always 8 is always severe for me. So
Yeah.
I'm going 9.5 with that arc. I'm going all the way 9.5.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence 9.5.
I'm gonna go. I think I have to go 9.5. I think. I mean, it's. I mean,
Yeah.
I just can't give 10 to anything. It's got to be something that absolutely. But like, and it is. It's as close. And it's only because we're sitting to the 0.5 and not 0.7, 0.8. But it'd be up there in between maybe even 9.5, and like it was just so good and you know I think overall with like maybe being a little bit harsher with the 7.5s in the past. Like this brings it much closer to like an 8.5 overall. If I were to base it just on these 9 episodes,
the whole 9, 8.5,
so it'd be like 8.5
fair,
total. So and keep in mind we have if you want to see what we gave it originally, our overall, you can go look. So it'll give you an idea of what maybe to expect in terms of caliber of show for this coming to maybe. Is it going to help increase the score or decrease it? But it only gets.
Another thing we never mentioned in the previous shows is that if you do not have the time to watch the show completely on YouTube, you can also listen to it on the Star Wars Artefacts Spotify account.
Yeah.
So
if you're stuck in traffic or whatnot, load it up, subscribe
for sure,
and you can catch up.
A good way to pass the time when you're on park on the traffic. So,
well, I think that pretty much covers it for this week. Dom,
yes, I think we've I mean, couldn't find many Easter eggs honestly in those episodes. I mean. As I said, the cam droids, like what we saw in the Senate in the prequels, they name dropped Edu, the science division on Edu, which is the lab where Galen Erso is working in Rogue One. What else?
I honestly thought, I mean, kind of going.
They mentioned the Dona, which is the general that gave the speech before the Death Star trench run.
I almost thought we were going to see Palpatine in this one.
Yeah, me too.
I was expecting him to show up in this episode or to see him or something, but I guess we didn't get that. So I guess we'll see if it comes up in the next 3. But
it was fun that it was mentioned many times in those 3 episodes, and the day after those episodes was released, we learned that the Emperor is coming to Montreal.
Yeah.
At the Montreal Comic-Con this year, so it's going to be the first time I get the opportunity to meet him. So
yeah, I spoke to Elliot. Said if he wants to wear his Anakin costume, could make for an interesting encounter. So it
would be cool. Yeah.
All right, well, talk us out, and we'll save some for next week. So
all right, so can't wait to finally be able to talk to you guys. Of all the episodes, we know what's coming. It's still pretty